Hello students. So students, we will continue with the previous chapter, that is diversity in living organisms. So in the last class I told you some of the important terms. Children, please don't lose these slides because these terms definitions are not given in your books. Okay, so if you refer the slides then you study the textbook, then the things will become easier for you. So children, what is taxonomy? You can see in the slide also. Taxonomy, it is the biological science which deals with identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. One of the function of taxonomist is to provide a scientific name for every living creature. Now, identification. What do you mean? Now, there are so many living organisms. So, the organism is identified. Then, it is classified. It is placed into different phylums, species or the genus, and then it is named. Now, one of the most important function or the work of taxonomist is to provide a scientific name. But why there is a need to provide a scientific name and how this scientific name is provided? Now children, there are many organisms which have different names in different regions, and those names are understood only in those regions but not in other places. Okay, for example, dog. The dog is called kukur in Bangla and nai in Tamil. But these places, the people living in these places can only understand it, but the people in the other regions, they may not understand it. So, or sometimes a same name is given to a different creatures. For example, Kenchua, that is given for that word is used for earthworm as well as ascaris. So it is therefore important to have a single scientific name so that it can be followed all over the world. Okay, so that scientific name if we will give, then everyone will understand it. Okay, but the vernacular names is understood only by the particular region, okay, not by everyone. Now, like we have two names, we have one the nickname and one the real name. So you can say that this scientific name is like a real name. Okay, our real name also consists of two parts. One is your name and another one is the another one is the surname. Okay, now I will tell you what is binomial nomenclature. Children, binomial nomenclature, it is the system of assigning scientific name to the living organisms. Okay, now children, this scientific names, okay, nomenclature means what? Nomenclature means to give the name, to assign the name. Okay, and binomial means two scientific name is given, but that scientific name consists of two parts. First part is the genus and second part is the species. For example, you can see in the slide, that is Canis familiaris. Okay, Canis familiaris, this Canis, it is the genus name, and familiaris, that is the species. Now, the first part is the genus name, and the first letter of the genus starts with the capital letter. I hope it is clear. You can see here the C is written in capital letters. Now, second is the familiaris, that is the species, and here the first letter is written in small letter. Understood? Like F is written in small. And these two are italics. A space is left and then the name is italics, and if it is not italics, then it is underlined but separately. First Canis is underlined, then familiaris is underlined. But there is a gap between the two, that gap is not underlined. And if the word is italics, then it is not underlined. I hope it is clear to everyone how we assign a scientific name. Now children, the genus name, okay, that can be shared among the members of other closely related organisms. A genus name is similar to the surname. The organism shares this name with other members of its genus, just as we share our surname with other members of the family. The organism's second name is the name of the species to which it belongs. This name is specific to the organism in question, and the name is not shared with any other organism in a particular genus. I hope it is clear. Now you just considered one name, Panthera tigris. Panthera tigris, that is the scientific name of tiger. Now Panthera, that is the genus, and tigris, that is the species. Panthera is the genus, and in this genus other organisms are also included. For example, in genus Panthera, leopards are also included, lions are also included, tigers are also included. Okay, so this name genus, that is shared by other organisms also, but tigris, that is the species name, it will include only tigers, because species are the organisms which can interbreed among themselves to produce the fertile offsprings. I hope it is clear. So tigris is the species which will include only tigers. Okay, so Panthera tigris is the scientific name of tiger. Now you take another example, Panthera leo. Okay, L-E-O, Leo, Panthera leo. Now see, Panthera leo is the scientific name of lion. But here you will see Panthera, genus is Panthera. Why? Because lion also belongs to genus Panthera. Tiger also belongs to genus Panthera. Leopard also belongs to genus Panthera. But in Panthera leo, Leo is the species name and it will include only lions, because species are the organisms which can interbreed among themselves to produce fertile offspring. It will include only lion, because lion can interbreed among themselves to produce the fertile offspring. It will not include tiger, it will not include leopard. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. Now children, there are large number of organisms, and how the main thing is how to group them, how to classify them. So children, there was a scientist Haeckel and Whittaker. Okay, they try to classify all living organisms into 5 kingdoms. That is Monera, Kingdom Monera, Kingdom Protista, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae and Animalia. It started from the primitive. Monera is the primitive, very okay. Then advanced, little bit advanced Protista, more advanced Fungi. Then Plantae, more advanced, and the on the topmost is the Kingdom Animalia. So Monera, the most primitive one, is placed and followed by the others. Now so many organisms are there. So here 1 or 2 characters of the organisms are taken into account, and then they are placed into these 5 different kingdoms. Now what are the things which are taken into account while assigning or while placing the organism in 5 different kingdoms? They are the cell structure, the mode of nutrition, and the body organization. So these 3 or 4 things are taken into account while assigning a particular kingdom to a particular organism. Is it clear? Now suppose in the Kingdom Monera, there are organisms. There are large number of organisms. Now in these organisms also, all these organisms, let us say in the Kingdom Monera, will have most of the characteristics common. Now in Kingdom Monera also there must be organism which will have some other characteristics in common other than the previous characteristics. So those organisms will be placed into phylum, and again in the phylum there must be some organisms which will have some characteristics common. They will be placed in class. In class, then they will be placed in order, family, genus and species. So first are the 5 major kingdoms, then the organisms in these 5 major kingdoms are placed into groups and subgroups. Is it clear to all of you? Okay, further classification is done by naming the subgroups at various levels as given in the, as already discussed. Now we will start with the most primitive kingdom, and that most primitive kingdom is Kingdom Monera. Children, what are the special features of this Kingdom Monera? In Kingdom Monera, the organisms are prokaryotic and unicellular. I hope all of you know the meaning of prokaryotic. Okay, which doesn't have a well-defined nuclear membrane. Okay. Second, they do not have a well-defined nucleus and also lack cell organelles. Well-defined nucleus means here the nucleus is not surrounded by a nuclear membrane. Genetic material lies free in the cytoplasm. and it also lacks the cell organelles. Then some organisms show the presence of cell wall while others without a cell wall. So here some organisms they have cell wall and some they do not have a cell wall. And some organisms they show autotrophic mode of nutrition and some they show heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So the examples are bacteria, cyanobacteria and mycoplasmas. Now you can see here in the bacteria, you can see in the center, okay, can you see DNA? Only, so this DNA is lying free in the cytoplasm. There is no nuclear membrane surrounding the DNA. So these are prokaryotes and this is the most primitive organisms. So children, today we will discuss till Monera. Here Monera is the one of the 5 kingdom, but here the phylum, class and all these things are not. This only the mainly the characteristics of the kingdom is only discussed. Now children, after hearing the video or watching the audio or watching the video, I have given some class work, some questions which you are supposed to do during the class hours. So please do those questions, revise whatever is explained to you. If you have any doubt, clarify your doubts, okay, and just write the answer to the point, okay, and you can submit it after you finish it, okay. Thank you, students.